This is Team G. 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 The last one was A, right?
No. That would be convenient, wouldn't it?
And then this one, E.
Good morning, everyone. We'll get started for the morning. I'm Chris Gordon, facilitator of this room for the day. I'd like to introduce our judges. Mark Whitley from EMCO, Kelly House, Scotiabank, Jane Button, Scotiabank, Greg Sauter, Saskatchewan Roughriders, Ron Stiles, SaskTel, and Mohammed Tazishi, the University of Saskatchewan. Competitors, you have a maximum of 20 minutes to present today. The volunteer timekeeper, which is me, will be giving you intervals of time, so at 5 minutes I'll give you a warning. There's no questions or comments, cell phones, or picture taking from the audience, please. The audience will only be permitted to applaud at the end of that question and answer period. And audience, you're not allowed to wear any school colors while you're here. We ask that the audience exit immediately following the question and answer period. Get started. Who's the first? Just give me a minute. Do that open. Get it set up. This is Team G. Can we begin whenever?
Can I get a bid for 100? Can I get a bid for 200? Can I get a bid for 300? Can I get a bid for 400? Thank you. Thank you very much for coming and joining us today. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Gregoire, Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, and Executive Board. We're very excited to be here today on behalf of Ascentrus Consulting because we know you have a big opportunity ahead of you. You're excited about the opportunity to purchase Borealis auctions, and that's the experience that you deliver to over 70,000 customers each and every year. Today, we understand that you're at a crossroads. There's a very interesting opportunity and proposition ahead of you. But that said, what's the price you should pay, and what are the risks and associated factors that we must consider before moving forward? Well, we're going to be reviewing that today with you. First and foremost, our goal today is to position Borealis for successful exit in 5 to 7 years. Why, you ask? Well, we understand that there's a very, very competitive market ahead of you. One of the biggest players, Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers, owns over 60% of the market share in each of the markets that it has operations in. And with that in mind, it's going to be very difficult for you to advance further and take over increasing market share in the area. Our primary issue today is the fact that we don't know what purchase price you should be approaching the bank. We know that tomorrow you're going to be having a meeting first thing tomorrow morning. And because of that, we want to provide you with the information you need in order to make an informed decision when accepting and purchasing your loan. The next step to this is reviewing the competition and the risk that's associated with moving forward. What do we have to consider in the market, what are economic trends that are at risk and are of consideration. Our recommendation today, apologies for the typo, it's not actually there, but we know that it's well informed, and our goal is to ultimately provide you with a growth strategy so you're set up for success over the 5 to 7 year period. This will primarily focus on honing in on the Ontario market, where Ritchie Brothers Auctioneer doesn't actually have that big of a presence. Finally, the impact today is to become their largest competitor in Ontario so that you can actually position yourself to be acquired over the next 5 to 7 years.
So taking a look at the primary issue, as Loretta mentioned, it is what is the purchase price? How much should you purchase Borealis for? That's the primary issue because it's the most impending. You need to figure this out now so that you can take that purchase price to the bank. So some considerations that you must take into account for when you are evaluating the purchase price is what is the realizable growth for Borealis? As well, what's the financing strategy? How much debt? How much equity? How should you leverage your own finance and purchase this company? And the opportunities are purchasing at that asking price, that $500,000 of asking price, or negotiating a lower price. Or finally, do not purchase it at all. When we take a look at the secondary issue, which really feeds into should you purchase it and what purchase price should you purchase it at, it's a competition within the marketplace right now. So there is a lack of differentiation for a lot of the competitors out there in the auctioneer marketplace. That's because Ritchie Brothers own such a large market share. It's saturated the market already. So it's hard for a small auction house like yourself. And then as well, considering what is the growth in online private sales over the next few years. We see this trend right now of online sales and private sales starting to replace liquidating auctions. So what's the trend there? And some opportunities to consider when you take into account competition in the marketplace is acquisitions of smaller competitors to really grow your market share that way. National expansion of your auctions house, as well as online auction house presence. So taking an online presence and offering your. The current situation is really, and we're going to answer that primary issue right now, is should you purchase that, should you purchase Borealis for that $500,000? Or what should you purchase it for? Well, when we look at the free cash flow of Borealis, with the changes in structure that you're going to provide over the next few years, if you were to purchase it, we can see that over 5 to 7 year horizon, the discounted free cash flow for your best case scenario at 30% growth rate is well exceeding that of that asking price. It's up around $1.6 million. And in the base scenario, if you were to take your sustainable growth rate over the next 5 to 7 years with regards to your planned dividend payout for yourselves over the next 5 to 7 years, which is $30,000 each, we see that there is going to be a growth rate of 6%, and that $1 million in free cash flow. So we do believe that that asking price is more than reasonable. In fact, it's very profitable for you as an investment. But you need to take into account some things. You need to take into account the changing landscape of the auction industry. The changing landscape that once made Borealis such a well-known and well-recognized brand within Ontario has changed and gone. It's now really dominated by Ritchie Brothers because they provide the most product. They provide the most product to the customers. So that changing landscape really makes it essential for you to really strategically plan out how you're going to manage the company over the next 5 to 7 years to create a profitable exit strategy for yourselves. So, in conclusion, the current situation is you should accept that current asking price, requiring a loan of about $305,000 and equity that you'd be able to contribute of about $195,000. So when we take a look at that competition that I mentioned, Ritchie Brothers, they own 60% of the market, which leaves 40% of the market for you and your other competitors. In Ontario, that means you're competing for 40% of the market with 36 other small competitors. It's a lot of competition. It's a lot of saturation within the market. This high competition from Ritchie Brothers really has one issue when you start thinking about strategic growth strategies. It's gonna be difficult to move nationally. It's gonna be difficult to move out to the west because of Ritchie Brothers' presence within BC and Alberta. But that doesn't mean that there's not opportunities for continued expansion and growth. National expansion may be difficult because it is dominated by Ritchie Brothers, but there is opportunity within Ontario. So when you really consider the competition, it makes you also, it requires you to look at what is your ideal exit strategy. You have really two options, a private sale or an IPO. The IPO and the costs that are the costs associated with an IPO are so great that your revenues realistically would need to be up around $20 million for it to be a profitable investment for a large sale like an IPO to a wide sale and dispersed sale, which means that a private sale is going to be your best bet to generate a good solid return on your investment. So the question now becomes, how do you position yourself to be able to provide a profitable acquisition for Ritchie Brothers, your largest competitor, the most likely who's going to be to purchase you? And the answer is, become the market force in Ontario. And there's two reasons. There's an economic situation that's happening in Canada right now. Gas prices have fallen, which means that our Canadian dollar has really fallen. But that provides two opportunities and two growth opportunities. The American economy is starting to recover again. And that means that companies are going to flood the Canadian border looking for cheaper capital expenditures, such as items that you're going to be selling. With that lower dollar, it means that they're going to have more buying power, which means that you know that the Ontario market's going to be flooded. But it also means that lower dollar will lead to an increase in the Toronto housing market, which means that there is going to be growth within companies looking for your services in Ontario. So the Ontario auction market is primed to grow. And if you are able to grow with that Ontario auction market and take away market share from Ritchie Brothers, you're going to position yourself to exit in 5 to 7 years in a very profitable manner. You're going to capture those Ontario buyers, and you're going to capture the American buyers as well.
So what does achieving excellence mean for Borealis once you've taken the helm of this company? Well, we've realized that your goal is ultimately to exit in 5 to 7 years by selling to Ritchie Brothers and realizing that return on investment of the capital that you are now investing in purchasing this company. So in order to achieve that goal of exiting in 5 to 7 years, we realized that you need to do a number of things. First of all, you need to be able to leverage the core competencies of Borealis and to create a unique position for yourself within the Ontario market, and to become a strong competitor so that you represent a very attractive option for Ritchie Brothers to purchase. You need to ultimately grow your market share and achieve your profitability in order to become that attractive purchase option for Ritchie Brothers. So these are the decision criteria by which we've evaluated the various strategies that you might implement in order to achieve that goal. And any strategy that does not meet these criteria or help you to achieve that goal is not going to be a good strategy. So let's walk you through some of the alternatives we considered. The first was, as mentioned earlier, to expand your national auction houses across the country in order to gain access to more buyers and sellers across the country, and ultimately to be able to achieve greater market share. However, while this would increase the pool of buyers and sellers that you're exposed to, we realized that it would be prohibitively costly for a smaller auction house like yourself, and particularly due to the fact that you've just taken on the acquisition of this company, so you are increasing your debt, and we don't believe that it would be beneficial to incur more debt at this point in time. And ultimately, we realized that the place that Ritchie Brothers is experiencing a gap in the market is Ontario. They don't have a stronger presence there, they don't have quite as many auction houses as in other parts of the country, such as BC and Alberta. So we realize that that is a niche that you can help to fill, and ultimately that will make you more beneficial and more attractive to Ritchie Brothers. So we do not believe that this is a good alternative for your company today. Another alternative is to acquire some of your competitors within the Ontario market. We know there's 36 alternatives there. Well, this would strengthen your competitive position in that it would give you more market share by acquiring their buyers and their sellers. We don't believe that this is necessary due to the fact that you have 70,000 potential customers in your customer base. And we realize that there's a lot more potential to capitalize on that current customer base, that loyal customer base, and to create more value from them in order to generate more value from them for your company. And ultimately, just acquiring another competitor that is no different from yourself does not help to create a unique advantage and to make you more attractive to Ritchie Brothers. So our recommendation to you today is prospering with technology. Now, we'll get a little bit into what this actually entails in a few moments, but essentially it is using technology, so going into these online auctions, utilizing SEO to attract a wider base of both customers in terms of buyers and sellers, to create more value from them in order to generate more value from them. So this will also enable you to increase your operational efficiency and to create more value for your customers. So this is our recommendation to you today, and I'll let Brenna walk you through it.
So what we'd like to draw your attention to today is the fact that achieving excellence is achieved through three main pillars. The first is technology, the second is connectivity, and we'll be doing both of those today to help you prosper in the long term. First, this starts with connectivity. Now we know that you've got a large network amongst your management, your current management, and your staff as well. We want you to make sure you can actually take hold of that and leverage your current relationships with government, within the real estate and construction sector, in order to actually attract customers and enter a market that's suffering from current economic downturn. We want to target them so that we can actually send appraisers to the Alberta, Calgary, Edmonton, and Fort McMurray areas to actually assess companies and do cold calls and actually go in there and generate leads that are looking to downsize and or declare bankruptcy. The goal is to ultimately take advantage of the current situation and the falling markets to increase auctionable product in the Ontario market. The next step, we want to go hand in hand with including technology. Of course, we can't go big without going online. And so we want to first and foremost start by creating a website to create the full service you currently offer to your auction needs and have this through this web sales channel. We're going to purchase targeted ads specifically focused in the American market in cities like Michigan and also in the Ontario cities like Toronto, and use Adobe Target and other analytics tools to actually identify what to display to customers. So to actually create